Okay. Module 3, organizing data behind the user interface. See, so far you're familiar with the user interface. You know how it looks like in the application. So if you consider a three-layer architecture of the application, then you have really got the exposure to the GUI and the business. Well, you don't have the exposure to business logic here, but so this is the only layer you have always seen. This one, GUI layer. Now you will understand what goes on behind the scenes. You basically must have heard me, talking about these two layers, which are the business logic layer, business logic layer. But now you will understand, you will understand, and database layer. But now you'll understand more fundamentals about it. What really are these comprised of, and why such a nomenclature and things like that. I guess maybe you guys might have even discussed that with me in the last few days about these things. But anyway, we'll go over it in a formal fashion now. After completing this module, you will be able to describe how data is organized behind the user interface, describe the relationship between data in the database and data in the UI, describe the relationship between lists, forms, views, business components, and business objects. Why you need to know. Knowing these fundamental concepts is important understanding and configuring Siebel applications. Okay, that's fine. The lists and forms display related business data. The Siebel UI displays a collection of related business data items in lists and forms. Each field each field each field in a list or form represents a business data item. Okay, all right, you know about this one, right? He is saying that the Siebel UI, this is Siebel user interface, this is a Siebel 6 user interface, and you know that 7.5 and 7.8 look a little differently. You gotta look at those. Displays a collection of related business data items in lists and forms, right? Basically, what it shows some, for example, in the lists, it shows different records, right? And in one form, it shows one record in a different manner. Its layout is different. It shows all the fields in a kind of a form kind of arrangement. Whereas in the list, you have to scroll. So the advantage of having it in a list is you see multiple records. For example, let's say you're looking for Sienna Healthcare. It's easy for you to find it when you're looking at it in a list. And when you're looking, when you are, but if you want to look at the various attributes of Sienna Healthcare, then you have to scroll in the list applet. So in that case, just highlighting it and looking at it in the form is a better idea. So see in Siebel, in Siebel UI, you know, you can see all the various data in the list and the form applet. Important thing to understand is these are all accounts. In Siebel, in the same list, you cannot see accounts as well as the contacts. You might have noticed that. And right, so, and in a particular form, you cannot see attributes from multiple areas. You see the attributes only from account, a particular account. You cannot see half of the contact and half of the account here, right? So these are small things that we notice, but main thing is these are all related. For example, like all these attributes belong to this particular account, Pincus Hospital, and all these various data records, they are basic in the list applet, are basically different lists. So these are the relationships between these things. Yeah, you know what is a record, right? I think if you have worked in Excel, you know what is a record. Every record means a one row is one record.
Yes.
Right?
One row is a record.
One row is a record, right? Business data stored in database. Each business data item is stored in a specific database table and column. List and form data come from many tables and columns. Okay. Each particular entity, for example, let's say there is an account. You gotta understand that account will be stored in an account. Behind the scenes, there will be a table where it will be stored. Okay. He's saying that each business data item is stored in a specific database table and column. Okay, perfect. this particular thing is stored in a particular column, right? Both these cannot be coming from the same column, okay? And this cannot be going to two separate columns, in the sense that the whole thing can go, that's fine, we'll understand, that's fine. But it cannot be that Ciena goes to some column and healthcare goes to some other column. This Ciena Healthcare is stored like Ciena Healthcare in a particular column, right? And I have always told you guys that table and column is nothing but an Excel. So what I'm trying to say is, behind the scenes, this as Excel must be having Ciena Healthcare, right? So the two examples I gave is, it is not possible that behind the scenes in the column, in the table, it will be stored like this. This is not possible. This is just not in Siebel. Other thing you gotta understand is, the other thing that I said is, that along with Ciena Healthcare, it wouldn't be like it has Pincus Hospital is also listed there. Both these arrangements are not acceptable. The only acceptable arrangement is, this is like this stored, this is, and this is stored like separately. This is just a very basic thing, and when we are all making Excel, we don't even notice this very basic thing. But each and every column and each and every cell basically needs to have one item, right? We all understand that.
Absolutely.
Right?
One thought.
Yes, one part. Yeah, sure. Okay. So other thing is, list and form data comes from many tables and columns. I agree. For example, this is one list. This is one form. Okay. This data is coming from multiple tables. Okay. Few minutes back I said account comes from account table. Let me try to reconcile both the facts. It comes primarily from account table. Some of the data, for example, the address data, comes from a separate table.
Right.
Class of trade, it comes from a separate table. Accounting, it comes from a separate table. So wherever there are multiple things for an account. For example, there are multiple people working on an account. There are multiple synonyms. It is allowing in the GUI, it is allowed, right? So that means there can be multiple synonyms. There can be multiple synonyms for a particular account. That means it's coming from a separate table. This address, there can be multiple addresses for an account. That means it's coming from a separate table. Somehow those tables are joined, linked somehow, and the data is coming and shown to you. But as far as data storing in the database is concerned, here or here in our diagram is concerned, that means that it will be stored in two separate tables. But other fields which are single value fields, like main phone number, main fax, last call date, account name, site, are there any other fields?
City, state.
Brick is a single. City and state is not. City and state is a part of the address, right?
Right. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it will be part of the address. Yeah. Fax, call frequency, license number, territories is a multi-value field, so it is coming from a separate table. Last call date, that is coming from the same table. Current volume, market potential, this is a single value field. Specialty is a multi-value field, so it is coming from a different table. Okay. Somehow, so there are multiple tables involved. One is a main table. In this case, account being the main table. Another one are the, let's say, we'll call those as the maybe secondary tables or the children tables. Okay. Well, just for our thing, we'll call it secondary table for the time.
Okay.
So whenever there is
like supporting tables.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Whenever whenever it's a multi-value field, that means it's coming from something else. It's coming from some other table. And whenever it's something like a single value field, then there's a good chance that it could be coming from the same table account. So I take my one other line back. I said that whenever it is a single value, it is definitely coming from account. That's untrue. Sometimes when it's a single value field, it might be coming from another table too. But when it is an MVF, it will always be from other table. Okay, this is what I have written. Okay. But we know that each business data item is stored in a single cell.